Hi, it's Colleen Taylor from TechCrunch TV here at South by Southwest with Jonathan Klein, the founder and CEO of Getty Images. So Jonathan, I understand that you guys are having a event tomorrow, or?
Correct. Yeah. This is sort of Getty Images coming out party at South by Southwest. It's my first time here as well. Essentially, South by Southwest has evolved a little bit like our business has evolved. Although 5 years ago we didn't have music, now we have a ton of music. And we've essentially we've combined, if you like, content and technology, which is essentially what Southwest is doing now. So South by is a perfect place for us to be, give a keynote talk and launch our new API, which we call Connect.
And so how have you seen, and tomorrow is your 17th birthday as a company.
Yeah. We're 17 years old, which in South by standards makes us almost geriatric, but relatively young. We started the company really focusing just on still photography, but now we're a broadly based digital media company with still photos, video, and of course music as well.
Great. And so I've talked to a lot of apps just over the past year or so that have said that they want to be the Getty Images of Instagram or of Flickr, of these, or Flickr is sort of a Getty Images in itself, and it's a space that has seen a lot of new entrants in the past 17 years. How have you guys been viewing this?
Well, the one major difference between us and everybody you've mentioned is that we're focused entirely on B2B. Now, sometimes a business is a one-person design agency in somebody's living room in upstate New York, but it's still B2B. We're in the business of licensing content to folks who'll pay for it. We do not make money on advertising. There's no advertising on any of our sites. Our customers are advertisers, etc. So that's the first big difference. The second big difference is everybody's talking about crowdsourcing. We've been crowdsourcing since 2006. We're the largest crowdsourcer of imagery in the world, both through our iStock photo business, as well as through an exclusive partnership we have with the company you just mentioned, Flickr. So if you want to license imagery from Flickr, you do it through Getty Images. So crowdsourcing is not new to us. The apps are very, very interesting because what they've essentially done is they've democratized photography and video, and they've given us an additional very large source of content. So we're in discussions or have deals with all the folks you just mentioned because their users wouldn't mind monetizing what they have as well. Not all the time. You don't want to monetize a picture of your daughter or a picture of you on vacation, but occasionally you will do.
And it sounds like, I mean, you were very strong when you said we're a B2B company and we're not going to do advertising. It sounds like that's something that you're very, that's not going to change.
No, I think companies have to focus very much on their culture and their skill set. And we understand businesses, and we may be old-fashioned around here. We actually think people have to pay for content. We think that content creators also need to make a living. And so we're in the business of monetizing content. And content which cannot be monetized, which is just driving traffic or eyeballs, is great for others. And they'll figure out a business model off the back of that. But we've got a business model in place. We've had it in place for 17 years. We do close to $1 billion in revenues in licensing, and we prefer it that way.
And I want to ask you about your sort of technology arm. I know you have been building that up over the past few years. Can you tell me about how many engineers you have, what the structure's like?
Absolutely. Getty Images has 1,800 full-time employees, and 450 of them are in technology, and most of them are engineers. Our engineers are based in 4 places, mainly in Seattle, in Calgary, up in the frozen north, in Madison, and in New York. So we have engineers in all these places, and people always say to me, are you a media company or are you a technology company? Well, it's difficult to know with, we're essentially a content company, but everything goes through that technology pipeline. And we have to be on the leading edge of technology when it comes to image recognition, image search, because imagery is all about finding the image you need or the video clip you need. It's no point in having billions if you can't find the one you need when you need it.
And you mentioned being around for 17 years. You guys are kind of an old company, especially by these standards, but I'm sure any one of these apps would love to be around for 17 years. Do you have any advice for startup founders here?
Yes, I think the advice that I've followed in building the company over all these years is what I would say to anybody else. And that is, number one, you cannot stand in the way of how technology is moving. Too many companies have tried to do that. South by is essentially originally a music venue, and the labels stood in the way of that. They thought it would go away. They hoped it would go away. When it didn't go away, they did something which is unspeakable. They sued their fans and their customers. And so you cannot stand in the way of technology. And the second thing is that the customer is not always right, but the customer's almost always ahead of you. So if you can provide something to the customer which is compelling, which is exciting, which is easy to use, hassle-free, interesting, and affordable, they'll pay for it. And don't get hung up by different business models, in the sense that our business could have been destroyed by some of the new business models. We were the high-end, fancy photography people with Pulitzer Prizes and all the rest of it. And yet we dived into user-generated content on the same... We're a business that can sell an image on one day for $100,000, and on the same day we'll happily sell an image for $1. And I think you have to be open to cannibalization of your business. But really, technology and the customer, they're kind of right all the time. But that doesn't mean you give them stuff for free, because that's what they really want.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is where you draw the line.
I absolutely draw the line at that. You know, we will do promotional stuff, but you intellectual property has to be paid for. And I think some of the... I was over in the Valley, your part of the world, a couple of weeks ago, and I was seeing all the folks that I do once a year. I go and see them all. And I think even Silicon Valley is now got a way better understanding of the importance of content, the use of content, how content creators need to live than, say, 5 years ago, when you'd have conversations with those companies and they'd be completely oblivious to it.
And are you guys acquisitive at all, or is there any, interest in maybe buying some of these apps that want to be the Getty images of X, Y, and Z?
And we're already the Getty images of X, Y, and Z. So to try and buy a wannabe Getty images, we probably wouldn't do. What we are interested in, we are acquisitive, yes. We've made 130 acquisitions in 17 years. In fact, I'm a little twitchy now. We haven't made an acquisition in about 6 weeks. But yes, we are acquisitive. But we want these businesses to figure out their business model first. We're not venture capitalists. We're not angel or startup investors. We're just not good at that. Their folks are really good at that. And a lot of these companies can benefit by partnering with us. That's what we're after. So we're talking to all these folks about partnering. If they're interested in driving monetization to their user base, they can use us as a distribution engine. We have over 400 image partners who distribute on us, including, as I said, Flickr and various other folks. If, on the other hand, they're interested in making their offerings more sticky and compelling, we have all the content in the world, and we're producing tens of thousands of images a week, new images and new video a week of all the new sport and entertainment events, as well as all the advertising stuff. So we can help them get more traffic. We also are open to business models where, instead of them paying us licensing for the images, we will take a percentage of the ad revenue generated around an image. So we're incredibly flexible. And we know that while they're figuring out their business models, we need to be flexible. So we're talking to a lot of those early stage companies around here.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and have fun here at South by Southwest.
Hard not to. Thanks a lot.